jingle, hello and welcome my friends. This is the brand new Lenovo Yoga Slim 7i. And while I am proudly going to announce that this video is sponsored by Lenovo, what's inside this box is actually something to be really excited for, because this is my first time getting hands-on with Intel's latest Lunar Lake chips, aka the Intel Core Ultra 200 series. Is the new Intel stuff legit, competitive, and perhaps even great? Also, I love on the package, excessive use may cause damage to your vision. Thank you, Lenovo, for looking out. I will not excessively use my laptop. Ooh. We got a good port selection, HDMI, Thunderbolt, and a headphone jack. Headphone jacks, they're really nice to have on laptops. I'm glad that this has one. And on the other side, we've got ourselves a USB-A port, a second Thunderbolt, as well as the power and the camera switch. Oh, look at that, Lenovo Aura Edition, imagined with Intel. Wow, they're being very upfront with that branding.
Aura is the new Riz.
Aura is the new Riz?
Yeah.
So it's the Lenovo Riz Edition? I don't think that's gonna pass legal. Can I just say, I'm setting this up right now, and it's very quiet. In fact, I'm hearing other laptops that are like 10 feet away from me that are louder than the laptop that I'm currently setting up. So that's good. First impressions, the hardware is nice, but the hardware feels quite similar to this generation of Yoga line, specifically on the Slim side. This is powered by the Core Ultra 7 258V, which is an 8-core processor. So you've got yourself the latest generation of Intel Xe graphics on here, as well as you've got yourself a very sizable NPU, which gives you all the fun Copilot capability. This is a major deal for Intel and for Lenovo, but definitely for Intel, because does this let me actually get all-day battery? I'm not talking about the manufacturer quoted number of some massively large number of hours when you're on airplane mode with your brightness set to low, blah, blah. No, can I actually use this all day comfortably on battery? So let's start by talking about the Yoga Slim 7i. The first thing I noticed is its slightly unusual form factor. We're looking at a 15.3-inch display, but thanks to those thin bezels, it's almost as small as a standard 14-inch laptop. As someone who generally prefers a small laptop, it's a good trade-off. Now let's talk about the keyboard, because in my opinion, Lenovo makes the best laptop keyboards, period. I personally type faster on the Yoga keyboard than pretty much any other device out there. What I really appreciate here is their use of space. Now they could have decided to cram a number pad, but instead they took advantage of the real estate with great placement for the excellent quad speakers. Sounds good. Now, I do have to mention one thing that I'm not as thrilled about, which is the trackpad. Don't get me wrong, it's fine, decent size and all, but after experiencing haptic trackpads, especially on Windows laptops, going back to this diving board style just kind of feels like a step backwards. Now, I've gotten spoiled, I'll be honest, by being able to just click anywhere and not really thinking about it, but this, it's fine. It's just not the world-class experience that the keyboard is. Moving on to the display, you've got two almost identical options. Both are 2.8K 120Hz PureSight Pro panels, with the main difference being that one is an LCD model with touch, which is what I've got on my review unit, and the other is an OLED non-touch version. It's a bit odd that you have to choose between touch or if you want OLED, but if it were me, I'd go OLED. All right, so hardware-wise, the Yoga Slim 7i is solid. But what I really was curious about is Intel's Lunar Lake, specifically the Core Ultra 7 258V. Now, full transparency here, this is not final hardware or drivers. That is going to be coming a little bit closer to launch, but, you know, as someone who maybe accidentally saw a suite of benchmarks just fall into the laptop when I wasn't looking, and weirdly ignored for a few hours while things ran, and as I walked by to check the laptop, I accidentally saw some scores. Nothing to be too worried about would be what I would describe that as, hypothetically. Graphics performance has also taken a step forward, with the updated Xe2 GPU making light making light gaming and content creation totally doable. Thanks to the dual fan cooling solution, it can sustain a 30-watt TDP, which isn't bad for a Yoga Slim model. Probably more important than the outright raw performance is the general livability of the laptop in normal use, which is pretty much the way I use my laptop 99% of the time. I basically never hear the fans kick up, and the laptop is pretty much always cool to the touch unless I'm running a heavy load. It's just really nice to have a laptop that's actually cool and quiet. Imagine that. Now, let's talk about the sweet 45 tops that are hiding inside the NPU. In theory, it's great, but in practice, it doesn't exactly do a whole lot right now. Now, this should eventually get Copilot Plus features, and Lenovo is building a whole suite of apps that utilize the NPU. Unfortunately, I don't have these on my review unit, so the best I can say is that the hardware is ready to do some cool stuff once the software is ready. Now, to be fair, some regular apps can already take advantage of the NPU, including a few in Adobe's Creative Cloud suite, which I will mention you get a 2-month subscription included for free with this device. What I can say though is that much like the Yoga 7X, this is a great laptop even if you never use any of these AI features. They're a value add, not a main selling point, at least in my opinion. Battery life is a huge component of these Lunar Lake laptops because Intel has put an enormous amount of resources into optimizing the efficiency, right? Performance is one thing, but battery life is really what I think most people want. Now, because it's still under embargo, there are certain things I cannot say. Like, I cannot tell you that this has the best battery life on any Intel laptop ever. Couldn't say that. I can't say that the Intel quoted numbers are incredibly impressive and really, really strong. Can't say that either. But what I could say is that battery life theoretically is good. And I am theoretically gonna try to stay out of trouble on this one too. One thing I do need to briefly touch on is Aura Edition. This is a new thing that Lenovo and Intel have cooked up together that's launching first with the Slim 7i. Now, I'll be honest, when I first heard this, I did kind of roll my eyes a little bit. The idea itself is decent. It's supposed to optimize Aura Edition devices for better performance with automatic power modes based on what you're doing and a bunch of other features, but the main thing for me really is the support that they're calling Smart Care. If things go wrong, you can call a real human who can talk through some troubleshooting steps. When that's not enough, you can step up to the paid premium care plan and have an engineer help to fix your issues by remoting into your system or even making a house call. I've got to say, this is a premium feature that does go above and beyond the normal support coverage. There's also Smart Share, which makes it easier to share content from your iOS or Android phone to the Yoga. It's nice to see them working on making the experience feel, for lack of a better term, premium, especially with that improved support, and there are cool features coming. But I will say that the whole Aura Edition label, it feels like it's a branding thing that's maybe a little over the top. So, there are two main takeaways. First is that the Yoga Slim 7i is a really nice piece of hardware. Good port selection, great screens, and probably the best keyboard in the business. And thanks to these new Core Ultra processors, pretty solid battery life and performance. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? The AI features that are coming soon. I mean, I've seen a lot of these in person, and they are really cool, but there's a lot that just isn't ready yet. And I never want to recommend a product based on future updates that will be coming theoretically. The good news though, is that on day one, this should be a solid experience, even if some of these AI features never materialize. It might not be the most exciting laptop in the world, but it's great to see Intel being competitive because it really does push everyone forward. Again, big thank you to Lenovo for sponsoring this video. I'll have a link to check out the Yoga Slim 7i in the description. And until next time, my friends, drink some more water, call your mom, and install that Windows update you've been putting off for the last 3 months.